Jones. I'm your resident certified sex coach. And this is DOYOU-KNKY, which stands for Do You Know the New Kinky? We are here today with Lisa and Sita. They are helping, we are helping each other along in this multicast that is on our Sex and Cannabis Series. Today is part 2 of our series where it is Cumming with Cannabis. And I am going to shoot over to Lisa to introduce herself.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite homegirl, with Lisa. We are back at it with episode number 2, Growth Industries, Sex and Cannabis. I am so excited to be back here with you guys and sharing about my growing experience, my sex and cannabis experience. And we can't do that without our wonderful guest, who's also in the cannabis space. Sita, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. I'm a cannabis educator, cannabis chef. I currently work in a vertically integrated cannabis facility where they grow, process, and make edibles under the same roof. I am continuing my experience within the Maryland cannabis industry under a vertically integrated cannabis plant. It's really a lot of fun, and it's like, as soon as you go to the grow department, it's like instant anxiety relief. Like, who needs a therapist? Defan plants and, for 8 hours and be fine.
And then you can smoke it, and then it can heal you even more.
I think we're sold now. On benefits of weed.
Yes.
So that is Cumming with Cannabis. Lisa, did you tell us? Yes, you did, right? So this is what happens when I partake off camera.
It's okay.
Okay. So we're talking about Cumming with Cannabis, and so Sita, can you at least, so in our previous episode, go back and watch it if you haven't. We were talking about sex and cannabis as taboo industries in general, but getting a little bit more into cannabis as an industry. For those who don't know, cannabis equals AKA weed, equals AKA reefer, equals AKA pot. So they can know it by different names, but all weed is not the same, right? So give the new novice person like the weed 101, cannabis 101. What do you need to know?
Cannabis 101, there are 3 types of cannabis. Technically, there are 4 types of cannabis. Technically, there is indica, which is indica. Most people are familiar with that phrase. Something that's going to basically have you knocked out, go through your hungry, happy, sleepy phase very quickly and in the bed. That's just pretty much how that goes. There's also sativa, which is known for its energizing effects, uplifting effects, can be anxiety-inducing in a lot of individuals, or can have little to no effect in other individuals. And I fall under that category where if it's too sativa, there's not, there's no body to it, it's like smoking CBD for me. Now, the 4th type of cannabis is called budtender, which is going to refer to your hemp, both CBD and industrial hemp types.
Okay.
It's going to be high CBD, low THC. It goes a little bit differently too.
Okay, so quickly, can you tell me the difference between, either of you tell me the difference between CBD and THC?
No.
I can't. I mean, I like, why is like, because CBD, you can go to any store right now and pick up something that says CBD.
Okay, so I can talk about it from a legal aspect.
Okay.
Legally, it's about your content, your THC content, or lack thereof.
Okay.
So some plants, if it's 100% pure hemp, it's not going to have any THC, and it's going to have 0 THC. And then, so that's legal to sell.
Okay.
Under the 2018 Hemp Act. Okay. Then there is CBD, which is derived from THC plants, but for it to be legally considered CBD, it would have to be less than 0.03% THC.
Okay, 0.03. That's even less than legal in the alcohol. Okay. Right. That's all.
No, I mean, that's kind of how
Yeah, but yes, because you do need that legally determining factor. So that is their number that they've determined qualifies
0.03.
something that is derived from THC, but is majority CBD.
Okay. All right.
But the medicinal, so break that down.
All right. So there is THC and CBD. THC is tetrahydrocannabinol, so that's 3 times fast, and cannabidiol, and they literally affect 2 different types of receptors. So we have CB1 and CB2 receptors. And the CB1 receptors are for your THC, and your CB2 is for your CBD. So they literally aren't even highlighting the same receptors in your body when you intake it. So they're literally different molecules, like molecularly, completely different. CBD is so CBD and CBDA is more medicinal in the sense that it has more healing. It's not known for its psychoactive properties, although it can be mentally stimulating. Which is why it's known for its anxiety relief and uplifting, known for its mood uplifting properties as well. So it is somewhat stimulating, but not to the degree that THC is.
Okay.
So, and then THC is the fun.
That's why it's illegal.
Yes.
That's why it's regulated.
No, it's illegal because Harry Anslinger said that it makes white women want to have sex
with black men.
With sex. So that's
I did so cuckolding this week. Like, you know, that's a thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
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 I have my book over there.
I was watching a few videos. It's going to be great about that.
Yeah. So
It was a documentary.
Of course, education first. Education first.
But so Sex and Cannabis and Cumming with Cannabis has been a thing. It's been a public thing, and that's what the whole war on drugs was kind of based off of. People are having to be out here having wild monkey sex,
and it's
out in the
big
streets
help
because
You said what?
of cannabis.
the 70s didn't help.
60s or
70s
70s.
didn't help.
I think the 60s was worse than this. I wish I was back in the 60s.
Summer of
I'm not even gonna lie. I wish I was alive during the 60s.
That is the epitome
Bro, I
of
need to
weed and sex.
because that's when I had Quaaludes. I need to try one of those in my life. Just once.
Just once.
Yeah.
You put it out in the universe. Right.
Right? Watch.
Make sure y'all tune into the end.
We'll have to leave some of these things out.
Probably. It's okay.
It's okay. It's fine. But yes.
But those are the different types of weed.
Sativa, indica, hybrid, and
We were going somewhere with the CBDs in, were we?
Well, I wanted to know what the difference was because, like, for instance, when we talked before, but I want you to explain to the audience about, like, the properties, because when it comes to how does we interact with you to help, stimulate your physiological response in a sexual way, like, so we talk where sometimes if you don't take the right type of weed or you take too much weed, it can, like, take you completely out of the mood when you're trying to find that sweet spot of, being high and being sexually aroused and, like, the universe coming together to create this moment.
So that would basically go back to the type of cannabis, which would you would want, unless you are like me, where you have chronic pain or something like that, you want to stay away from heavy indicas or anything high myrcene. Myrcene is a terpene. Terpenes, from what we know now about how cannabis works, there's still a lot more to learn. But from what we know now about it, terpenes basically help to dictate whether your cannabis is a hybrid in the first. And myrcene is a terpene that's commonly found in indica strains, which is known for its sedation and pain. Unless you have chronic pain relief, you would probably want to stay away from you're not struggling with pain relief, it's probably going to make you too tired.
Okay. So if I'm trying to get somebody randy, I'm not going to try to give them something that is, heavily indicated, and I put them to sleep first.
Right, exactly. And you also want to be sensitive to whether they are, if they struggle with anxiety, if they're prone to anxiety, you want to stay away from very super sativas is what we call them in the industry, where they're very, very heady. They have you basically thinking, and that's
a hybrid.
No, that's a sativa. That's a sativa. Where you're just in your head thinking. It doesn't necessarily
it's body. Okay, so we're talking think too much. So those are the ones where you come along and grow your ideas while you're high.
Yeah, but not
so you're
having
the other
sex, right? And you're thinking too much.
Right.
You're thinking to your head.
Yes.
Right. I'm sorry, I was getting it. But yes.
Because we're still coming, okay?
Yes, we are. Yes.
So, in a sexual setting, you want to be careful with sativas unless this person is especially somber. You want to stay away from sativas, just because that can have an anxiety-inducing effect, which can ruin that.
And what are the terpenes that suggest a sativa?
Sativas are commonly known for having limonene, pinene, and terpinolene. Now, of those three, terpinolene is what you would call kind of like a gray terpene, and by that I mean it does have sativa uplifting and energizing effects, but if it comes in a high enough percentage in your cannabis, it can actually have relaxing and somewhat sedative effects. So that's like the one terpene that I would say is, if you see it, if you struggle with anxiety, it should be relatively safe for you to consume. But definitely pinene and lime are definitely known for their uplifting and energizing effects, and can definitely induce paranoia in some individuals, which you definitely don't want to induce that during the moment. No. That's very counterintuitive to what we're trying to get. So I would suggest hybrids as the best happy medium for that, because they give you both that energy and uplift, so you're having fun, you're giggly, but you're getting that body buzz, that pain relief. If you do have pain relief, it will help
get rid of that anxiety and keeping you out of your head at the same time.
Right, and help you relax physically as well as mentally, because you do need to relax physically.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. So we need to make sure there's a good balance, and I would just suggest hybrids as the best alternative for that.
Yeah. So if I were to, because again, let's say one of the things as a coach when I'm working with couples, right? That's one of the things that they need to do. Like they either not have the best ways to communicate, and they are now looking for things to kind of like bring them together, like joint activities, things that they can kind of do to build intimacy that is outside of the bedroom, right? Because I'm a firm believer that intimacy and sex don't start once you get into the bedroom, and so I actually do, if they are open to it, like to promote sex. I mean, if I do like to promote sex, promote the use of cannabis as a way to build intimacy together. At least I know you can talk about it from the growth aspect, like the connection that you can feel, from that aspect. But I'm also thinking from an end user consumer that if somebody, outside of their relationship, maybe their relationship is being impacted by, stress or being impacted by anxiety and things like that. When you mentioned earlier about being a budtender, would that be where somebody would come to you and say, I am having these types of feelings or these types of things that are going on in my life, and I want to have better sex. I want to have the energy to have sex. I want to be in the mind space to have better sex. How would we be able to come together and create a plan for them? And I'm asking you from the cannabis side, like what could I come to you and say, this is what my client needs? How can we, bring cannabis in and help them along their way?
So as we mentioned in the first part, that cannabis and sex really mirror. So it starts by asking a plethora of questions that will seem very unrelated to what you're coming to me about. So I'm going to ask you, about your daily activities, your stress levels, if you have any variety in your routine. I'm going to ask you a plethora of lifestyle questions to really determine what it is that you need to relax in general, because it all relates. Whether you're trying to relax just, not in a sexual setting or in a sexual setting, it all, is fluid in that sense. So relaxation is relaxation. So basically just, seeing what their lifestyle is, what's their job, what is the root of the anxiety, if you can get down to it as close as you can get to it, as close as people feel comfortable letting you, in, because there's always that, as we are not licensed therapists or anything of that nature. But as close as you can get to the source as possible is really what's going to answer your question about what it is that they need. And what they need is going to vary person to person. Every person is different. Some people need THC, some people shouldn't have THC at all. Like it really, and that just...
What if somebody doesn't smoke? Like, what are the other ways that you can administer? Topicals is what I would, as far as if we're talking sex specifically, topicals is a great way to integrate cannabis into your sex routine.
Now, are we talking like topicals as an edibles and like you can smear some honey over you, or are we talking like topicals like lubricant where you can like rub it over your genitals?
Both. I mean, it can get fun. There are infused chocolates on the market. You can make chocolate sauce. The possibilities are endless now. So, it's a short life, guys. Have fun.
And I think that's the wonderful thing about it being a plant is that you can consume it and put it on your body.
Yes.
And it still be, an edible product that's safe for you to ingest.
And how many lubricants in the market can say that?
Right.
And you could be also massage oil, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, again, as long as it can be infused with something, it can
be a pain balm. It can be, and it doesn't have to be THC. It can be CBD. CBD is a great way to integrate integrate cannabis into your sex routine. Integrate sex routine.
They go together. Potato. And there's a I'm so bad at repeating this joke actually, but there's a sex therapist that I follow who wrote the book Dr. David Lake. It's called Insatiable Wives. It's called Cup Owner, right? And so he says this joke, and I'm really sad that I'm repeating. He says, "Who came first, the chicken or the egg? You know who came first, the chicken or the egg, by who's smoking a cigarette, or in this case, who's smoking a J." Who came first? I thought I had to explain the joke next week.
No, I got it.
Who came first, the chicken or the egg?
The person
who's smoking the J.
Interesting. It's usually me. Yeah, and it usually rolls it. You don't get it?
I'll get it when I get it.
Okay.
I'm so slowly.
It's okay. But again, it was a silly joke, and Dr. Lady, if you ever see this, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. So so we know we can have the body. It can be infused with stuff. We can do body looking. It gets into your system that way, which again is a very good way to introduce cannabis into your foreplay. We're coming with cannabis, and so again, sex starts outside of the bedroom. Intimacy can start with something. It's not just intimacy and sex are not one for one.
Intimacy starts with food, and your food can be infused.
Your food can be infused. Can you imagine making a nice dinner, coming home to a cannabis infusion? You should tell people though, right?
You should tell people.
Don't dose them.
Don't dose them. Unless, if this is not like a homie that through and through, where y'all can really laugh about it, please don't dose people. That's not a joke.
No.
It's not fun.
But yeah, to be able to use weed as a way to promote and enhance your sex life is something that I'm really excited about.
Because I always think about the times when, you know, you had sex and it was just like, it was the same partner and, you know, you guys probably did most of the same things or, you know, if not different stuff. Either way, it's always exciting. But like, you know, that one moment where it's just like, that one time where it's just like really, really great. We're just like, what was it? There was like nothing else that's different. So we can attribute that to the type of terpenes in the weed. Because we're always, you know, because it becomes more or less a habit kind of to smoke before you have sex
or during or after,
right?
All of the above.
Right. So we do it so subconsciously that we don't think about how it could be impacting the experience and what it is. And now learning today that it's the different terpenes that have it, and so that it's the experience of being uncomfortable. Like I've had those experiences where I'm just like, wow, I'm really attracted to this person, and like I'm comfortable with myself, my body. I've never really, you know, had these issues, but knowing that certain terpenes can trigger, you know, that anxiety unnecessarily for me was really, really interesting to know and discover. But have you guys had any unique experiences with cannabis and sex or coming with cannabis?
I just a little bit more on the terpenes. So the terpenes I would suggest for sex. So hybrid, the type of strain I would suggest is hybrid. The type of terpenes within the hybrid that you would find is a equal combination of myrcene, limonene, and caryophyllene. Caryophyllene is CARYOPHYLLENE.
I have missed the letter, but you see, I'm writing it down. Myrcene, limonene,
And linalool. Linalool might be a little better for the sexual experience, as it is more relaxing than it is sedative, whereas myrcene is more sedative.
Okay.
And linalool is found in lavender. In lavender, you can find in a lot of massage oils and a lot of sex things.
Yes,
Definitely, linalool is really good for.
Okay,
linalool. Lina. Like Lina, like Lina.
Okay, so yes, I got that. You were.
No, it's four. It's four.
Okay.
So, but it doesn't have to be all four of them. Like it can be any mix of the three.
Okay.
So it can be caryophyllene, limonene, linalool, or caryophyllene.
What's that? The sex potion?
Basically, yes, it's the sex potion.
Yes.
We need to
Don't try to sell my
Credit, y'all better give us some credit.
Yes.
Y'all come up with a.
I'm trying to.
In fact, we're going to have a competition.
We should do it.
We should have a competition.
Oh yeah.
Whoever can come up with the best love potion, sex potion.
Yeah, fun.
No, can we have that as part of the grow?
That would be
Can we have it as a category?
For the grow
For the
competition.
grow competition, the best sex potion.
You want to compete or you want to join?
I want to judge.
I want to sample that.
You don't want to create one.
No, I want to judge.
All right, shit. I'll start a new one. I'll start a new category.
See, now we've gotten off into something way different than what we're talking about.
No, that's still coming with cannabis.
It is.
That's
Oh, right.
still
Yes,
coming with
you're
cannabis.
right.
We'll start a lubricant category.
Yes.
Make it fun.
Yeah.
It's a short life, guys.
It's a short life. That's going to be her new tagline.
It
She
is.
said it. It's a short life.
It is. It's a short life.
Well, I think that while we are living this life, that we should do what feels right.
Yeah.
And you know, some people struggle with sex, and for those people, I really am sorry that you struggle with sex. And if I can help you find a better way to enjoy your sex by yourself, with a partner, with multiple partners, figure out what floats your boat, I'm willing to do that. And if you can enjoy,
I definitely do want to talk to you. I definitely do want to talk to you. So, public vulnerability moment. I struggle with self-pleasure. I haven't found anything that works for me. And although it's very uncomfortable and I'm very reluctant, I'm going to push myself down this rabbit hole. by talking to your favorite resident sex expert.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Because everybody's journey is different, and then everybody will tell you, I have the solution for you. And see that we talked briefly before, and I was like, I would never dare to say this is what you should do. I would never dare. Without having a conversation, without trying to establish and set goals and things like that. And cannabis is a big part of her life. So how does that impact her and her partnership with herself? There's a lot to consider. And so when going back to talk about pleasure and doing things that feel good to you, you have to ask yourself in all respects, what feels good to you, what makes you happy, whether it's the food you eat, whether it's time you spend with people, the places that you see in this world. You have to be purposeful. Yes, be purposeful. Be purposeful with your sex and be purposeful with the things that you put in your body. Include penises and vaginas and one of those things. And weed. But yes, and weed is all of it. Weed can be good for you. It's good for your sex. Just like if having sex, regular orgasms for men can reduce prostate cancer. Fun fact. There are things we can do to improve your health and understand what that relationship is to your body, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's really, really important. And what I found really interesting is how the sex and cannabis relate as to growing. So when we talk about like your indicas and it having an effect on your attention span, basically it's short because you're gonna tire out quickly, right? So when you're growing an indica, the indicas are short in height, stature, and they're bushier. And then you have your sativas, which are tall, and they are wild, and they're energetic, and all of that. So I just find that how even in physical nature, the plant presents itself in its effects, and then impacts how you have
the laws of attraction. It's
I'm sorry. We can, this series can go on. Sex, we can do this forever, guys.
We're starting with 4. We'll see where it goes.
Right.
You let us know. How about that? All right.
Well, where it's going now is on to the next episode, where we are going to get into the practice.
Sex.
The practice of sex. And we're using cannabis to achieve that. I'm GrowithLisa, your favorite homegrower, co-hosting this amazing Sex and Cannabis Series. Thanks for tuning in to this second episode. Make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe, and like GrowithLisa, GrowithLisa, on all the social media channels. Shani?
My name is Shani Jones. I am your resident certified sex coach. You can find me across social media at DOYOUKNKY@.com. So that is my website where you can find all the information about me, my business, what it is that I do, services that I provide, and contact information if you choose to reach out for coaching inquiries. So, Sita.
Yes, it's Sita, it's your girl. You can find me on Instagram at sita.abdulmalik or via email at sita.abdulmalik@gmail.com. The spelling for all of this will be in the information underneath the videos that these ladies will be putting up for you guys shortly. So just stay tuned.
Until next time.